Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your time of day and time period. Welcome. This is Thrive and Peak. Today's episode is about reparenting yourself. Okay, because sometimes, depending on who you are, sometimes your parents don't even get it right on the first time, because sometimes their parents don't get it right the first time, and so on and so forth. It's our first time living life, experiencing life all together. So let's be mindful and aware, and give not only ourselves grace, but also give those who have parented or reparented us grace as well. Obviously, that depends on a case by case basis. Only you know your story, so let that apply and extrapolate that to how whatever suits you best. Okay. But I just want to say welcome and welcome back if you're a repeated subscriber or viewer of this channel. I'm very grateful for you. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. This is Thrive and Peak, and at this channel, we just build bridges, and we focus on just being the change you want to see in the world, essentially, right? So today, I want to talk about something that means a lot to me, something I think applies to everybody, whether you're a parent or not, because this is about reparenting yourself. As a full-grown adult, you already have habits, you have customs, you have traditions, you have circumstances that you repeatedly do and preferences, right? But you developed patterns, some healthy, some so not so healthy, right? A lot of them were built a long time ago, and reparenting yourself means taking a step back and asking, where did this come from? Why do I respond this way? Why do I shut down? Why do I get angry? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel like I'm never enough? Reparenting yourself is learning how to become the person that you needed when you were younger, right? And why this matters to me. I started doing this whole channel because I've been a father for over 10 years now. And it's a unique experience. Whenever you are a parent or take ownership of guiding someone younger, you have to, not only do you take this opportunity to teach them life, but you also take an opportunity to let them teach you. I recommend that, because you'll be surprised in what you find out. A whole another perspective, a whole other unique perspective as well. It can help refresh your mind. It can help refresh your perspective on things. I say this all the time, but I will literally sit with a 7-year-old and relearn how to tie my shoe, because they could show me something I never even thought of before, if that makes sense, and extrapolate that to whatever makes sense to your life and areas of life and whatever way you want to apply that to, right? But in life, you don't just teach them life, you relearn it with them. There's no perfect manual. There is no manual, really. There's no right or wrong way that comes naturally. But when you are a parent, or when you are taking that leadership and that guidance, your inner child is also in the equation, right? And I think because of that, you should never let your inner child die. You have to prioritize them, because a lot of situations, a lot of situations and circumstances require you to neglect your inner child. And sometimes as a child, you were required to neglect your own needs, wants, and passions just to fit in to your role of whatever it was at the time. And that's the awesome part about never letting your inner child, because you can remember, I knew what that felt like while you're raised. I know what it feels like to be 13. I remember what it feels like to be 10. I'm in a unique circumstance where I actually do remember what it's like to be those ages, and I try to apply that whenever I give guidance and understanding to my loved ones and the people that ask me for advice. And there's huge things like changes of all times, like when it comes to being a child. Like there's things that come into mind of when you're a teenager and you're changing, not only physically but mentally. You start prioritizing things and start reorganizing things and organizing things to begin with, and finding out, this is important to me, this is not important to me, so on and so forth, right? You're just trying to figure out where you belong. And for me personally, I don't want to blame anyone for anything, but my cycle wasn't always the healthiest. Sometimes when I was developing, it almost felt like I was doing something wrong, right? It was kind of, I was answering questions. I was doing my best to answer questions like, why don't you like doing this anymore? Or why aren't you interested in that anymore? Why are you changing? But all I was doing was just naturally growing. I wasn't entirely sure what was happening. But in hindsight, they say hindsight is 2020. But in hindsight, I knew that I was developing and maturing into a young adult. Um, and that's what kids do. They develop, they evolve, and they deserve the space and room and healthiness to do so. Because when you're pressured to be lean a certain way to the left or to the certain way to the right, you're not prioritizing yourself. It's teaching you not to prioritize yourself. It's teaching you not to trust your gut, your intuition. And those are things that are very healthy relationships that you want to build in of yourself, that self-trust that's going to help navigate you in life. It's going to help develop your moral compass. It's going to help you say, know when to say yes, know when to say no, and so on and so forth, what suits you for that circumstance, right? Um, and what reparenting means is it means like you're going back to who you needed when you were a kid. And that may not always suit, all the time, right? That may not always fit. But just trying to be the best version of yourself, that guidance of whoever you're trying to guide or whoever you're trying to parent. Just be aware of that and bring acknowledgement to that, right? Because being a parent, you want your child, you want your children, you want whoever your mentees and your successors to do better than you anyway. You want them to do better in the long run than you, right? You want them to have confidence. You want them to feel safe being themselves. You want them to grow without shame. And I've had to learn something important. I'm not the main character anymore, right? I'm not always right. The kids, they're different. Kids are different than you, and that's okay. That's who they are. They like different things. They move through life differently, and that's beautiful. It's the whole generations thing too. As a species, we evolve, and it may not always be black and white. It could be areas of gray, and it's essentially, I think it's a beautiful thing. Really, it's the passion behind what I do, right? Um, and it's huge. It's a huge part of life, and it's inescapable. You can't escape it. Um, but yeah, let me read this. Let me read this to you. A lot of us go to work. We work all day. We come home. We're exhausted, and we think, I'm doing this for my family, right? But here's a conundrum. Sometimes we spend a lot of our patience at work, and a lot of our patience with our responsibilities. And you're doing all these things to support and to hold up and to ensure the safety and survival of your loved ones. But then you come home and you have nothing left, and you're tense, and you can sometimes be impatient because you just gave it all at work. We're more susceptible to exploding. And the crazy part is we're working for the people we love, right? But we come home too drained to love them well sometimes, right? We come home and we're short-tempered, and from their perspective, they're like, what's going on, man? I wasn't with you all day. So that's what they're seeing. Whenever they see you, when they finally get the chance to see you, they spend a lot of the majority of time missing you. And a big part of that, because they miss you, they're spending so much time like, hey, what is this like? And then when they interact with you, if you're short with them, if you have a temper tantrum, that relationship and that bond kind of deteriorates, if that makes sense. And to you, you have that perspective of like, what is going on? I do this, and this for you, but you view me as this. How is that possible? And so on and so forth. But that's just something that you should just be aware of, right? And that's the cycle that I mean when I say we're breaking cycles, because we're bringing awareness to it, and so on and so forth, right? But yeah, I think it just applies to our home, right? That applies to our relationships. That applies to our children. And this awareness, it teaches and enforces empathy, because it lets you know what it's like to be the other person. And whenever you do that healing and that thinking and those conversations that you have with yourself, it helps you break the cycle. Because imagine if who were guiding us and who raised us, imagine if they had that perspective, what it was like to see in your shoes as a child. How far would that go with you, to be considered, to be loved in that way? I'm sure we go a long way, because as adults, that's essentially what we need, and what we aspire to do, and what we aspire to have done to us. A little give and take, right? And when you do that, when you break that cycle, you feel lighter. You feel better. You feel like you can breathe. You don't feel as tense. You feel like, okay, my loved ones know that I'm giving my all, and I'm transparent with that, and so on and so forth, right? And your kids, they feel safe being themselves. They feel comfortable. They have their own confidence that they can take out into the rest of the world. And that's what you want, you know? And I wouldn't have it any other way. At times, I wish I had that growing up. Who knows what any of us would be? But I don't regret what happened to me, because I know I can use it to apply in everyday circumstances, such as Thrive and Peak. And that's what I'm here for, just to give that guidance, give that perspective, and share that love with you guys. That way you can kind of extrapolate that and let that apply in areas of your life that you've never thought before. So, in closing, I will say I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for listening, especially if you made it to the end. Um, and just think about it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Thanks for reaching out. I appreciate it. And I'm just very excited to get the conversation going. This is a very important topic. It's every generation needs this. It's important. It really is. So again, thank you very much. I will see you on the next one. This has been Thrive and Peak. You have been great.